Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now August 3rd of 2022, and ever since the very end of the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series, a lot of Star Wars fans around the world have truly been looking forward to the future of the Star Wars universe by Disney, Lucasfilm, and exactly what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have in store for shows out there like Mando 3 and 4, the Ahsoka series, and a lot more to be announced further at, of course, Disney Plus Day and D23 later this year. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that Disney Star Wars is currently developing is over a dozen Star Wars projects. That is, of course, going to be a combination of animated material and live-action material in the mix between both Favreau and Filoni, really trying to balance things out with the Star Wars universe moving forward. Now, one thing that Kathleen Kennedy is trying to actually make work is the Acolyte TV series. Now, we all know that the Acolyte series has been having a lot of production issues in the background, a lot of issues for the longest time now that's been really causing a lot of setbacks, and that brings us to exactly where things are going for Favreau and Filoni in a more positive path, right? So basically they're the ones that are creating this light at the end of the tunnel for the fandom to actually witness in the next couple of years. Now, on top of all of this, when we look at everything related to Disney Star Wars, Jon Favreau has been a lot more vocal lately about his view on the Star Wars universe, and especially with his view on the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series on and off. Now, we all know that the Kenobi series had a lot of high criticism from not just the fans, but even from some of the creators that worked on Star Wars as a whole. Now, Jon Favreau touched on the Kenobi series a number of weeks ago and recently got to talk more about that and his take on the actual show by Deborah Chow and Joby Harold. Now, on top of all of this, with both Disney and Lucasfilm currently developing their new Star Wars TV shows that will be announced later this year to the public, creators Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have been developing shows like Mando 3 and 4, along with the Ahsoka series as well. Now, currently, however, Jon Favreau is working on something that will truly reshape the Star Wars world. Recently, however, Jon Favreau got to talk more about his take on the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series when he was questioned about his thoughts on the show, to where he replied with the following to the fans. All I can say is I would have done things completely different. I respect both Joby and Deborah and what vision they had, but they did have some misguided views on that project that really needed to be more in line with the lore. I have seen the fan backlash and reception against the series, and I respect their opinion for how they feel about the lore not being handled to its best ability, which is very important to me as a creator and as a fan, especially as a fan. If I were to have been involved with Season 1, the things I would fix would be way too long for this conversation and endless. But let me just say and put something in here quick, what I think what really needed to be done, was this missing piece that George always had with Star Wars. This piece of the story that was this magical, fun feeling to it all. And this just didn't have all that. It didn't have that extra push of excitement for the fans. Star Wars is a very hard franchise to write, and if you just do one thing wrong, it can take down the whole system. Now, let me just pause here for a second of what Favreau is saying, because he is right. When you just make one little thing wrong in the franchise, it creates a domino effect in whether it be a Star Wars movie or a Star Wars TV show, whatever have you, it doesn't matter. If there is a very important piece that gets tampered with or messed with in the actual series or movies, it just all comes crashing down. I mean, we saw what happened with The Last Jedi. For example, when you don't take care of a character like Luke Skywalker, basically the whole movie just falls apart. And likewise, of course, with the Kenobi series. Now, some of you guys out there may like the show through and through, and that's fine. That's perfectly okay. And I respect that as well, as Jon Favreau says he respects Deborah and Joby. But the thing about this is that, yes, there are good parts in the show. It has some highlights. It's got some moments in there that are very emotional and well made. But from start to finish, the show is not very consistent on a good level, to me at least. And we all know because it was all pretty much being run by Kathleen Kennedy in the background because she had a lot of creative power since she was in charge of the Kenobi movie trilogy, and a lot of the story elements from that project transferred over to the Kenobi series. So here we are, Jon Favreau, giving his 2 cents once again on the Kenobi series, not saying really good things about it, and how he would change endless things to the point where it would be too long for this conversation. That tells us a lot, because he's basically saying that there's a lot of things wrong with the show without really pointing them out specifically per se, right? So moving from all of this, we already know that Joby Harold said this before, that he never really watched Revenge of the Sith from start to finish. It never really occurred to him. Rupert Friend said the same exact thing, how he never watched the Clone Wars. I don't know why we have creators and actors like this that get involved with projects like this, and they announce like, oh, I never watched it, or I never got involved in that. Even, Moses Ingram, who played Reva, said the same thing. It's very similar, that she never really got invested in Star Wars, but when she got the call, she was excited. I don't know why they have a trend of announcing this, but it does not give a good image. So, moving forward from all of this, alright, he goes on to say, which is why myself and Dave pushed the 3rd season of Mando until next year. We want to make this right to the fans and make sure it's going to stay in line with George's vision. What really needed to be done with the Kenobi show was what was promised in those trailers, with the greatest themes of all time, like Due to the Duel of the Fates and Battle of the Heroes. And it's just sad that we didn't get to see that. Again, I respect Joby and Deborah, but this project really should have been worked on longer and should have had more episodes to spread out the story for some of the characters involved. Apart from what Favreau stated, this all alludes to the fact that Disney is re-editing the Kenobi series that will be updated sometime in 2023, and that Favreau will be involved in the show getting actually it fixed up with a brand new editing crew that he will be supervising in the meantime. Favreau also is going to be involved with a 2nd season of Obi-Wan Kenobi for the Star Wars fans that is going to go into production sometime later next year, that they plan to announce at Star Wars Celebration in Europe. As of now, both Filoni and Favreau are also prepared to make some big lore changes also toward the sequel trilogy movies using the Ahsoka Tano series for Disney Plus, and more to come as well in the near future. They are also set to bring in many new stories of Luke Skywalker directly taken from Star Wars Legends. Now, let me just pause here for a second again, because the thing about this too is that the fact that we have Favreau and Filoni really working hard around the clock and making sure that Star Wars is going to thrive and survive and really become the best thing possible, I think it's why I'm looking forward to only what Jon and Dave are involved in. Now, I will be honest, when we look at everything such as the Kenobi series and, everything else that Kathleen Kennedy had a hand in, you can always tell that there were a lot of creative differences behind the scenes. It's why either A, those projects a lot of the time got delayed, or the marketing was completely out of order, just like with The Rise of Skywalker. Just look at what she did with Solo. She literally had 80% of the movie refilmed, and it cost Disney so much money, and when the movie didn't do all that well, it made them lose even more. So Kathleen Kennedy really is not a good fit for running Star Wars, and here Favreau is just pointing out that, Kenobi needed a lot of work. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.